Hello and welcome back to Louisiana Homesteaders Chow Chow Part 2, guys. So, what did I do before I turned you on to watch? Couple of things. Got my Chow Chow out of the refrigerator, what we made yesterday. So if you did not see how we got all this combined together and what we did and how we prepped it, you're going to want to go back and watch Part 1. Second thing, I got my clean colander out. Third thing, I am sanitizing my lids and my rings. My jars are already clean. Get your hands washed and let's get started. All right, everybody. Here's our vegetables that we prepped yesterday. We're gonna take them over here to the sink. You're just gonna pour them into your colander, strainer, whatever you wanna call it. Yep, I missed a little bit, but it'll be all right. The chickens, I'll dig that out. They can have that later. All right. Now, what I'm gonna do, just to make this easier on myself, I'm gonna set it here, and turn the cool water on, and I'm gonna rinse it. It just keeps the water from backing up on my vegetables, or my clean vegetables actually touching anything in my sink. All right. Dump that out. Set them back in there. All right, rinse your hands off because the next part is kind of cool. What we're gonna need, we're gonna need 3 cups of sugar. So I already have that ready. Got a nice big pot. Jumpy 3 cups of sugar in there. Now, I wrote this down so I would not forget. We need 2 teaspoons of ground allspice, 2 teaspoons of mustard seed, 2 teaspoons of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of ginger, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ground cloves, 1 teaspoon of crushed pepper flakes. I set them all out because I thought it was pretty, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it reminds me a little bit of what I use when I naturally worm the animals. So I guess it's a good thing. Just tap all that in there. Because we're all about using whatever you have in your hands to work with. Now what we're gonna add to this is 5 cups of white vinegar. This is a 4-cup measuring cup, so I'm gonna pour that in there. I'm gonna need 1 more cup. Pour that in here. You're gonna turn this on to simmer. When you get a nice simmer, which is a low boil going on in your pot, then you're gonna leave that going for 10 minutes as we move on to our next steps.
Now, do you stir this while it's simmering?
Actually, yes. And for me, I prefer, well, my pots are, they're easily scratched. They're Teflon. So I use wood. But yeah, you want to mix all this up, guys. And you want to kind of keep stirring off and on throughout that 10-minute period. Don't just leave it and forget it and walk off. I am notorious.
Yes, she is.
I have boiled so many things over on the stove. I had to get my mom and dad as part of my wedding gift. A couple of years ago, they gave me one of those, the porcelain enamel stovetop cleaner sets, because this thing was basically black because I was forever just letting things boil over. You don't really want to do that with this. Oh, it smells good though. Definitely smells good. In fact, let me make a better choice. Let me move it, because Sam can be dingy, to the bigger.
To the back burner. Where's the bigger?
To the back burner, where it actually goes. Bring that up to a simmer, then I'll move it to the simmer and leave it. At this point, Steven is helping out. He's making sure all the lids look good. There's no tears in them. They've already been boiled, so he's gonna put them over here to dry. While that's going on, let me show you what I did do. I pressed down all through here to get extra moisture out of my vegetables. When you get a boil, go ahead and bring it back down to simmer, guys. And the reason is you don't want to boil out all the liquid. You're gonna need that liquid. as it begins to boil, take it back down to a simmer. We have about 2 more minutes. It's a 10-minute process altogether to get all these spices and sugar and vinegar mixed up. It really does smell good. Alright, so Steven, always helping. He's usually better at making things go together, so I gave this job to him. Oh, I just breathed in all that vinegar. What? Don't breathe. Alrighty then. We're going to mix that up. And we're going to let this go for 15 minutes, and then we'll start filling up our jars. You have to remember, it's going to continue to cook when you're doing your water bath canning process. This recipe is going to call for 10 to 12 minutes in the water bath.
Ready?
Yes. You're using a slotted spoon, correct?
Yeah, slide a spoon so the juices will stay in until I fill the jars up with all this vegetable stuff.
Yeah, so they recommended in the recipe that we're following that you fill your jars 3/4 of the way up with vegetables. And then you add your juice on top.
More in it. The jar does get hot, y'all.
Modern kitchens are not set up to cook in. There is not enough space for us to get in here and to can and to do quail eggs. We make the biggest messes ever. We'll be bumping into each other.
And this is why they use the slotted spoon, because it's full of juice still.
All right, so add a little bit of juice on there, because remember what they said.
You always add a little bit of juice.
For flavor. Now, I made sure I had 12, I think these are half pints. No, pints, 1 pints. They actually fit like 1.5 cups in each one. So I made sure I had 12 all together because of how many cups of vegetables we had done yesterday.
Now this is a measuring stick thingy too. Let's see how many. Like that's pretty much 1/4 of an inch on each one of them little notches. Right there.
So that's where you want to go, to the second
Right now
notch.
we're pretty much at the second notch. That's about 1/2 inch below the seal.
Show them how you get your air bubbles out. Some people use sticks, all kinds of stuff. He's just really good about kind of pressing down, trying to make sure everything's nice and pressed in. I let him do this. He's a perfectionist compared to me. Like you guys, yeah. Steven does actually all the canning. I just prep everything.
All right, and
We work together as a team. We row in each other's boats, huh, baby?
Yep.
We really do. It's not just a one-person thing. I know some of you are doing it alone. My hat is off to you.
And to do this, wipe the seal, the rim. Wipe that little seal. Make sure it's not wet.
Or any food particles.
Or any food particles. Now that this is all dry, that your seal, your rim is dry, your seal is dry.
Try to center it.
Yeah, center it. Then grab a ring, place over it.
Don't go too tight with your ring. They say finger tight, which means just don't tighten it down. Actually, I've heard rings can actually cause the seal not to seal. Put it in. And we do have a rag in there. That way the jar doesn't shatter as it heats up. I'm going to set my timer to 5 minutes.
Yep, it just sealed.
Oh, well, it just sealed. I'll take that. I will definitely take that. Just like that. And that's why Steven does all the canning. Like a bigger pot.
Alright, I know you would put more jars in here, but you see the water boiling its butt off. You can't set another jar in here.
It boils over.
without it boiling over. And then like your towel, because you got to set it on a towel. Because if that glass hits that metal,
It's gonna shatter.
you just wasted all that time because it's going to shatter that jar. It's too hot. So, needless to say, she has to have a lot bigger pot to do more than this.
This is us learning, though.
We're learning. One at a time. Fine with me. What else I got to do?
Alright, so what's the wooden spoon for?
From keeping your glass jars hitting, because you let the glass jars hit, they shatter.
They shatter too. Wow. So now I know why when people talk about their grandmothers, their aunts canning, they always made the children go outside.
Oh yeah, it's very dangerous. That is the thing about having the bigger pot with the canning
Rack.
canning basket.
Yeah.
It's a rack that's jars set all in there. So like right now, as I'm sitting here doing these here, getting these jars ready, your water's boiling, but you can be taking and putting your jars all in the rack, and then once you're finished filling the rack, pick it up, set it in there, you're done. You don't have to use this to reach in here to grab each single jar. So now when you have the rack, all you got to do is grab the handle up here, pick it up, set it off to the side, and then you can start by unloading it with that, and then filling back up to go again.
Oh, that's cool. Fun fact. We just want to tell you guys, don't let anybody tell you that you can't can without a canner, and you have to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. I'm going to be honest. All the cans that we have, except for 2 sets, and I think it was like 12 in one set, 16 in another, were gifted to us from friends and family. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you, Aunt Mary D. Thank you, Miss Barbara. They have given us new lids. They have given us rings. They have given us jars because they're rowing in our boat. And it was just, they knew we were trying to do this, and they were like, hey, you know what? I've got some extra ones. Here you go. Go ahead, go practice. And that's literally what we're doing. We're learning to preserve food. So I know a lot of you out there are like, what are these two fools doing? We're learning. That's what we're doing. And that's what we want to encourage you to do. That is what our YouTube channel is about. It is about using what you have in your hands. It's about getting a free education. It's about applying everything that you're learning to a process. Because guys, you can learn all you want, but if you don't actually use it, it's not going to do you any good. And until you try it, you don't know whether or not it's going to work. You might have a trick that I don't have, Stephen doesn't have, but because of you trying and you sharing with us, rowing in our boats, being part of our team, us rowing in yours, we can all prepare our food. We can all save food and get ready for what's coming. So we appreciate you guys watching. We ask that you like, comment, and subscribe to Starkey Farmstead.